So there I was, just minding my own business, talking to some friends on Discord, when all of a sudden somebody @'d me on Twitter saying they're making another one, in reference to the Toy Story series, and that a 5th movie was, indeed, coming. Now, naturally, my reaction to seeing this was, yeah, right, what's next, another 2 seasons of Phineas and Ferb? But I wanted to do my due diligence and search it up anyway just in case this wasn't actually some elaborate prank. And when I did, I didn't just see one random article talking about Toy Story 5, it was everywhere. Absolutely everywhere, because this was real. It was happening. Toy Story 5 was officially confirmed to be a movie in the works at Pixar Animation Studios. And pretty much right after this news went viral, my comment section was flooded with people coming to share with me in case I hadn't already heard about it. So I figured this is a perfect opportunity to give my thoughts on this announcement, as well as provide some general updates for the channel afterwards. Especially because a lot of the comments that I received were from people expressing their condolences for me having to suffer through yet another cash grab of a sequel to a franchise that should have ended 13 years ago. But believe it or not, I'm not looking at this with any level of pessimism. In fact, much to the surprise of those who I chatted with on my Discord server and in comments 2 days ago, I am actually optimistic about this movie. Actually, no, I'm not just optimistic about it, I am downright over the moon excited about it. I know, a shocking turn of events, so let me explain where my head's at right now. To be completely honest, it took me a while to actually process this information. It had been so ingrained into my brain for the last 4 years that this soul-sucking scene was the absolute definitive line-in-the-sand conclusion for this franchise that Toy Story 5 was never something I ever thought we'd get to see. So it took me a few hours of sitting around simmering with the news to figure out what I really thought about it. My head just kept spinning around and around as my emotions were getting pulled in all sorts of complicated directions, on top of just generally feeling like I was in a dream world with how surreal it was to think we were actually getting a continuation of this story. Because on the one hand, their last outing with Toy Story, actually, their last 2 outings with Toy Story, technically, were abysmal. Truly just god-awful. Now, Toy Story 4 wasn't quite as god-awful as Lightyear, but it was still a horrifically broken movie that destroyed everything about the original trilogy. Yeah, I'm not gonna go through all that again. You guys probably know very well exactly where I stand on this movie and why I hate it so much. And if you don't, then oh boy, do I have something for you to watch after this, now in supercut form. So I totally get why everyone immediately assumed that I would hate the fact that Toy Story 5 is happening, expecting it to just be more of the same and be just as idiotic as Toy Story 4. But something that I realized about all this is that it can't get worse. It absolutely cannot get worse. Toy Story 4 failed on every possible account. Plot, utterly dysfunctional. World building, shattered to pieces. Themes, morally bankrupt and completely mangled in their execution. Characters, thoroughly assassinated almost beyond the point of repair. The only way to break things even more would be if they turned Woody into a serial killer, or if they pulled a Danganronpa V3 and revealed that the whole series was just an in-universe TV show the entire time, thus completely invalidating everything yet again in a fresh and uniquely infuriating way. And by the way, that's not a list of suggestions, Pixar. Don't get any funny ideas here. The way I see it, things can only improve from this point. Is this being made as just a cash grab? Yes. Was this only announced as seemingly out of the blue as it was to distract from the fact that Disney laid off 7,000 workers? Absolutely, and you should not let any of this distract you from that information because fuck Disney. But when talking strictly about the integrity of the characters and story of this world, Toy Story 5 is literally the last chance they have to fix this. Remember when I said this in my Toy Story 4 series? We can't look to the future at an upcoming project and hope that it will save the day because there's nothing to look to. This is the end of the line. Well, that, along with some other lines, it is the 4th and final entry in one of the most beloved animated film series of all time, are gonna be horrifically outdated real soon because now we do have something to look forward to and it's not the final entry anymore. There's a chance, maybe only a small chance, but a chance nonetheless that Pixar is actually going to take the necessary steps to undo the damage that Toy Story 4 caused. Because there's no way Woody's just gonna be absent from the movie entirely. He's gonna meet up with Buzz at some point over the course of the story. If for no other reason than the fact that Pixar won't be able to market it as easily if the two of them don't both take the spotlight, and we all know the primary reason they're doing this is to generate some easy profit. That, plus the fact that Tim Allen tweeted out, "See you soon, Woody," which I find rather funny. Maybe it's just wishful thinking to say that they would straight up reverse this ending and get Woody back with Bonnie, though make no mistake, that would be the actual funniest thing in the world if they did that. But I still want to believe that there's a chance that these characters I've loved since I was a toddler toddler will get a much stronger and more respectful send-off than this. It's kind of like my feelings on Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. Maybe it won't end up being very good. In fact, there's probably a very high chance it ends up being a 5 out of 10 at best. But after the unbridled train wreck that was Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, I am more than willing to give this movie the benefit of the doubt because I want Indiana Jones to go out on a high note and get one last truly great adventure for his swan song. Obviously, just like Toy Story, it would have been ideal if they ended after the third movie on the beautiful shot of the characters literally riding off into the sunset, or in the case of Toy Story, ending on
"So long, partner."
But we can't turn back the clock to change the existence of the fourth movie, so the best we can do is look to the fifth movie and hope and pray it makes up for its predecessor. Let Buzz be smart again. Let Jessie be adventurous again. Let the other toys we care about actually, do something other than just sit around on their asses all movie. And maybe, if you feel like living dangerously, we could consider the possibility of, violently snapping Forkface in two and throwing him into the trash just like he always wanted. I don't know, just some food for thought. And above all else, I really, really hope that they can salvage what's left of Woody's character. If there's one thing I want to see out of Toy Story 5, it's that. For him to realize how much he went astray and return to his family so we can finally forget this hellish fever dream ever happened. You might think it's impossible for Toy Story 4 to be fixed, but it's not. Previously, it was unlikely due to Pixar's insistence that this was really the end this time, but now that we have another chance, it is absolutely possible to fix all that's been wrecked. It would be hard as hell, and you might have to occasionally fall back on some lazy excuses like, oh, sorry about acting like a colossal dumbass last time. My batteries are running low, so I guess that impaired my cognitive capabilities somewhat. Oopsie. Oh, sorry about not coming along on your adventure with you and hyperventilating in a closet surrounded by my friends when previously I was totally fine with being in even more enclosed spaces as long as I wasn't alone. Turns out my voice box was malfunctioning and that made it really hard for me to breathe just like we saw happen with Wheezy, so I didn't want to overexert myself by joining you guys. And since our last movie established it was really easy for toys to perform surgery on each other, I fixed myself up pretty nicely. Yeehaw! The more pertinent question is whether or not Pixar is going to want to undo Toy Story 4's ending, which might sound totally out of the question, but if you asked me 4 years ago, I also would have told you there was no chance in hell Pixar would ever undo the beautiful ending of Toy Story 3, but we all know how that turned out.
To infinity and beyond.
Shut up! And just so we're clear, when I say all this, it doesn't mean that I think Toy Story 5 is gonna be a good movie. Pixar's recent track record has left me impressively unconvinced of that even being a remote possibility. All I'm saying is that I think there's a chance at redemption for this series. And the more I think about what this movie could be, how it could reforge Toy Story 4's missteps into a new, infinitely better conclusion for the series, the more excited I get. I mean, hey, Dual Destinies pulled it off after Apollo Justice, Stranger Things Season 4 pulled it off after Season 3, and miraculously, even Halo Infinite managed to pull it off. It somehow found a way to grab the bungled abomination of a script that was Halo 5 and reforge what was salvageable about it into arguably one of the best stories in the entire series, which I'll be talking about in its own video, hopefully sometime soon. If 343 Industries can do it, then I believe Pixar can too. And really, what's the worst that could happen when they've already destroyed everything? When all the substantive elements of your story have been completely nuked, it's only logical to conclude that there is literally nowhere to go but up from here. I truly believe that Toy Story 5 has to be better than Toy Story 4 because there's nothing else they could feasibly do to make things worse, excluding obviously outrageous possibilities that I'd hope even the worst writers of that company wouldn't ever even entertain the idea of. Maybe you think I'm being naive. Maybe Pixar won't do any of this. Maybe they won't even acknowledge that there's anything wrong with Toy Story 4 and the fifth movie will be nothing more than an episodic filler side quest film that could be completely discarded without gaining or losing anything. Kinda like Toy Story That Time Forgot, and there won't be any kind of meaningful character work to draw out of it. But it's still a chance. It's a glimmer of hope that I can hold on to. And hey, you know what? Maybe the reason why I'm so excited about this is because, in spite of everything that's happened, there's still that inner child inside me that wants to be taken back to this world he fell in love with one last time. So he's crossing his fingers and hoping against all hope that this movie ends up being worth the effort. Finally concludes these characters' stories properly, and then lets that ending stick without racing to invalidate it one movie later. But no matter what, I'm still excited to see what they do. Pixar has given Toy Story one final chance at redemption, and now, thanks to them, I'll be waiting around for it to eventually come out, watching and dreaming for the future possibilities that Toy Story 4's atrocities might, at long last, be amended. We're not gonna get Toy Story 5 for quite some time since Pixar's theatrical release schedule is pretty definitively locked in for the next few years, but whenever it does eventually come out, you can be assured I'll be here to either rip it to shreds or sing its praises, because no matter what, whether it ends up being the greatest thing in the world or another steaming pile of garbage, it'll no doubt be the wildest ride in the wilderness. So, yeah, those are my thoughts on Toy Story 5 being announced. I don't know if me being optimistic about this is going to be controversial or not, so be sure to let me know in the comments what you think about this whole situation. But for now, let's move on to some general channel updates before I leave today. First up, the two big video projects, Cars on the Road and Lightyear. I know, you're sick of hearing me say that I'm working on them, and honestly, I'm sick of actually editing them because of how long that they've been clogging up my production pipeline. You can mark this as the last time I ever edit two projects simultaneously, because the Cars video isn't even particularly lengthy, it's only going to be just over an hour, but the fact that I'm editing it in tandem with Lightyear, which is significantly longer, has taken quite the toll on my ability to get either of them out the door in an efficient manner, and by this point I just want to move on to other projects. So with that said, I'm relieved to finally be able to commit to next week for a release for Cars on the Road. As of this moment, the video is fully edited, it's in the can, and it's ready for release. So why not just publish it right now, you may ask? Well, that'd be because I'm waiting for the video to be released from copyright hell, also known as the absolute worst part of making videos. When you've done all the hard stuff, but now you just have to meticulously knock down every copyright claim because of a clip you played for 1 second too long, and then re-render and re-upload the entire thing many times until you finally appease the YouTube copyright bots. So it'll be out next week, I just don't know what day. Lightyear is gonna take a bit longer because the video itself is roughly, 5 times the length of my Cars on the Road video. But like I said, I'm completely sick of thinking about this absolutely dreadful movie, so I am working like crazy to get it over with so I can finally move on to something else. If I were to guess when I'll have it done by, I'd hope to have it out by the end of March, but I also originally wanted it out by the end of last year, and those plans completely fell through, so who knows. Now, what are those other projects that I'm looking forward to moving on to? Well, first and foremost, a praise video for Toy Story 3, because to be perfectly honest, I'd like to take a brief reprieve from tearing down awful stories for a change. I've been watching a lot of really great stuff recently in my spare time, which is refreshing compared to the gallons of sewage I'm used to having to watch, and as a result, I've been much more motivated to make videos talking about how awesome the really good stuff is than I have been to talk about how terrible the worst stuff is. Which, to clarify, does not mean that I plan on making videos on everything you're seeing on screen right now, because most of this has already been covered extensively by other people, especially Breaking Bad. Like, Jesus Christ, how many analysis videos on that show have you seen pop up in your recommended feed? All I'm saying is that I'm in the mood to praise some stuff that I really love, so if for no other reason than to keep myself sane, the Toy Story 3 video will be next up on the project list after I get Lightyear out of my life forever. And then after that, I return to the world of pain, because I still need to cover Ralph Breaks the Internet and Aladdin 2019, both of which I have rough outlines of that I just need to turn into proper scripts. Something a lot of people have been asking me about is if I'd ever do ranking videos for studios like all of DreamWorks movies or all of Pixar's movies, and I have actually strongly considered doing one for Pixar before. DreamWorks, not so much because I'm not as intimately familiar with all of their stuff like I am with Pixar, where I've voraciously devoured all their movies since I was a kid, so let me know in the comments if that's something you could be interested in seeing, because I certainly would not be opposed to making a Pixar ranking video. Additionally, in the background of all of this, I'm very slowly making a critique of Halo Infinite, like I alluded to earlier, in which I cover everything about the game, from multiplayer to campaign and all the baggage in between, because I have a heaping load of praise for that game, but I also have a heaping load to criticize, and I've wanted to make a video about Halo Infinite ever since the game first came out like a year and a half ago. I originally wanted to get it done in time for Season 3 next month, but Lightyear is going to take priority over that, so my new goal is that maybe I can time it up with the release of Season 4 in June, if the game even still exists by that point. And then, of course, there's my decimation of the Halo show, because fuck that absolute pile of unfettered horseshit to infinity and beyond. I don't care that it's a year old at this point, I still have things to say about it, and I'm gonna gonna vent about it no matter how long it takes. Here's one curveball project that I can throw your way you probably didn't expect. I might end up making a video about the Owl House. As you might have been able to guess by the amount of clips I've used from it in this video, I've been watching this show recently. I started it last month, and to put it simply, I've kinda become borderline obsessed with it. I adore everything about this world and its characters, and I'm extremely tempted to dedicate a full video just to singing its praises. And I may or may not have 6 pages of an outline already written, but I won't commit 100% to doing that until after watching and dreaming releases, because I want to have the full context of how the show ends before properly making a critique video for it. Or in other words, I want to know that it has a respectful, satisfying, and not rushed ending, fuck you Disney, before I make the final judgment call. Now that's a lot of stuff that's in the works, and there's plenty more that I didn't go over because there are much longer term projects, but the TLDR is that I have a massive amount of things in production, probably way more than I should if I'm being honest, and while Cars on the Road is definitely next week, and Lightyear is hopefully next month, you're likely gonna have to wait a while for the rest of them. I've seen a lot of people understandably frustrated at how slow I've been releasing videos, so I just want you to know that it's not due to a lack of trying, it's due to a lack of time. Videos as huge as mine can get take unfathomable amounts of hours to create, especially when I'm as hyper-specific with my editing as I am, and there's not a single day that goes by where I'm not working on a video in some form, be that jotting down notes in the form of an outline as I watch something, writing or redrafting a script, recording a commentary, or just straight up editing. I'm always working on something, and it's all with the hope of making it as best as it can be, even if it takes a long time. And trust me, I know that simply hearing stuff is being made doesn't mean much when it takes so long for you to see the results. Metroid Prime 4 anyone? But that is the reason why the channel hasn't been particularly active over the last few months, or at least not active with the big analysis stuff. But hey, I am still releasing smaller videos in the meantime, and those are the audio commentaries that I record with my friends Avert, Gugonic, OJ, and Waffles, as well as any other surprise guests that occasionally pop up for the recordings. Basically, we just get together and react to miscellaneous movies and TV shows, be they good or bad, and I can say with confidence that these are legitimately some of the most fun things I've ever had the pleasure of recording. Now you're extra dead. Look at that shit!
No, you were all dead. You are all dead.
Tilt the ship!
You have a
You did
gun.
that earlier
What
to get
are
the
you
bugs off.
doing?
Let go. Let go.
How
Okay.
much time do we have left in the— oh my god, we're only an hour in.
There's 47 15 seconds left on my
I am
screen.
so jealous of OJ.
I have to look at my screen for another 47 minutes.
We
Wow,
really
that
need
was necessary.
second
Wow.
one. What the fuck was that? They should have caught him.
How did that happen?
Oh, the auto-tune!
Tiny spoons.
Are things that are here right now. There are in fact gifts on your screen.
Jams! Here come the jams!
Oh, are they going into the sign?
Oh my god, it's Super Mario Odyssey?
They screwed into the
That's how
sign.
everyone died.
Trevor, what am I looking at right now?
You can find a full playlist of those in the description below, with 6 more commentaries unreleased that we've recorded and I still need to edit. And hey, we have a new one coming out this Tuesday. It's a bit of a mystery as to what it is right now, and I've been posting some hints over on my Discord server that people have been trying to guess the meaning of, but it might just be my favorite one we've ever recorded, and I'm so excited to be able to show it to you guys. Beyond that, if you want to keep up to date with what I'm up to more regularly, I stream pretty much every week with my friend Neil over on my second channel. Currently, we're making our way through River City Girls 2, and that's just a good opportunity to hang out and chat and chill with us for a few hours while we have some fun playing a game. Or you can join my Discord server with the link in the description below if you just want to chat with other community members about all things movies, games, and just whatever's on your mind. And that's pretty much a wrap on all I have to say. Videos are finally coming soon, and hopefully they'll continue to be coming soon, and you won't have to wait half a year between my major projects moving forward. But all I can say for sure right now is Cars on the Road is next week. Thank you all for watching this video, and I hope to see you all soon for whatever it is you decide to watch next. Goodbye.